Hello everyone and a warm welcome for today's Sunday tutorial. But before the video begins, I would like to speak to you on a few important events that are taking place through Indian Radiologist this year. Another 10 days from now begins the 24th MRI Teaching Course by Dr. Deepak Patkar. This is the oldest MRI course in the country and a must visit for residents and consultants who wish to broaden their practice and sharpen their skills with the best national faculty coming from across the country for this 3-day event. It is taking place at Hotel Sea Princess Juhu, Mumbai, and is an on-site event. We're taking papers and posters, and the last date for that is the 25th of March. We'll be conducting 2 fast-track courses also for exam-going students who are giving their DNB or MD, incorporating lectures from national faculty. These 2 events are taking place at Mumbai in Sion Hospital as well as at Apollo Specialty Hospital, Kolkata. And finally, the flagship event, Sonobuzz 2026, that is taking place at a brand new venue, Hotel Sky City or Aurika Sky City, which is near T2 Terminal, Mumbai. And this will feature 2 wonderful radiologists who have written books on ultrasound and have actually shaped the way we've conducted radiology in the 21st century. We're talking about Dr. Marilyn Siegel, who's a pioneer in pediatric ultrasound, as well as Dr. Leslie Scout, who is an expert in color Doppler imaging. They will bring their expertise of more than 40 years together and come and give us a wonderful radiological experience at Sonobuzz 2026. So I hope you come for our events and enjoy the experience. Thank you.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's Sunday tutorial. Today's tutorial is on imaging and management of intussusception pertaining to the pediatric age group. Now, intussusception basically is telescoping of one part of bowel into another and usually occurs at the distal ileum, hence leading to the distal part of the ileum telescoping into the cecum, causing an ileocolic or ileocecal intussusception. Usually, we may not have a cause. Almost in 90%, the cause is supposed to be hypertrophied Peyer's patches that are present at the distal part of the ileum. Now, these Peyer's patches are lymphoid tissue and they're part of the immune system, but whenever a child might have an infection, like a viral infection of the gut, these get hypertrophied. And hence, sometimes they can act as a lead point, initiating the telescoping of the bowel. Studies have shown a significant association between adenovirus infection as well as rotavirus and intussusception, especially pertaining to the infants and young children age group. Commonly seen between 3 months and 3 years of age, this is an important condition to diagnose because more often than not, the child cannot respond to us and hence there is no specific symptom other than crying or irritability. That can be in fact the only symptom that the child can come with. Of course, when examined, the child may show a tender abdomen. Much later, there might be the classic red current stools. And of course, later the child can go into obstruction. So it's very important for us as radiologists to detect this condition early and take part in the management as well. So, like we said, in children, usually there's no cause other than the lead point being the Peyer's patches. However, sometimes a lead point could be because of an intestinal polyp, a Meckel's diverticulum that's got inflamed and telescoped within the small bowel and then onto the cecum. And then, of course, other conditions like hematomas, lymphomas, as well as duplication cysts. Other types of intussusception, the commonest, of course, being the ileocolic, where the distal ileum telescopes into the cecum. There can also be the variety of the ileocolic, where a long segment of the small intestine is telescoped into the cecum and the ascending colon. Colocolic, where just the colon telescopes into itself, as well as small bowel intussusception. Talking of small bowel intussusception, we see it very commonly on ultrasound scans as well as routine CT scans. And these usually are transient. And if you just make the child wait and image again after 10-15 minutes, those intussusceptions disappear. And more often than not, they do not need treatment. Why is this intussusception so important? Is that the telescoping action can cause swelling and inflammation of the bowel wall and hence cause reduced blood flow because there are mesenteric vessels which get trapped within the intussusception. Hence, a certain segment of the small bowel can get affected, can get ischemic, can move on to gangrene, and that can be increasing the morbidity of the patient, as well as very rarely intussusception could be fatal as well. Not so much in modern medicine, because as soon as we can detect this condition, there are ways where we can actually help in reducing it. So let us understand this picture. So what we are seeing is a classical ileocolic intussusception, where you can see the invaginating bowel or the telescoping bowel, which is called the intussusceptum, as well as the recipient bowel, which receives the telescope bowel, that is called the intussusceptions. So this gives rise to the target sign or the bullseye sign as we see it on ultrasound in the transverse view, whereas on a longitudinal view, it can give rise to something called the pseudo-kidney sign. Once we see this sign, and usually you will see it in the right upper quadrant or the right iliac fossa region, depending on whether it's an ileocolic or an ileocolic intussusception, we will be immediately informing the treating physician that this is what the diagnosis is and this needs immediate correction. First level of correction is, of course, a reduction, hydrostatic reduction, where the sonologist also plays a role. But the clinician will need some more important information. In the sense, you have to see a few other important parameters while diagnosing this condition. The first will be that you need to put on your color Doppler. Look for bowel vascularity. So it's important for us to see bowel vascularity. So that tells us that this intestinal segment is still viable. If you do not see bowel vascularity, this means that this segment could be ischemic, and instead of going forward with the hydrostatic reduction, you will be going straight for surgery. So bowel vascularity is a very important picture. You need to put on the color Doppler. The second point is to see whether you can actually see a lead point or not. You will not be able to see Peyer's patches very easily, but sometimes you may end up seeing a mass lesion. That could be a duplication cyst, sometimes an ileal lipoma, or any other mass lesion that's protruding into and is seen very clearly within the intussusceptum. Like we see in this picture, you can see the bright central area represents the small bowel along with the luminal contents of the small bowel. You can see this little echo-poor area, solid lesion that was a polyp. The third thing you look for is to see if there are any trapped fluid within the intussusception, as well as mesenteric lymph nodes. So the presence of these conditions, presence of a lead point, presence of fluid or lymph nodes, make our task a little harder when performing the hydrostatic reduction. So once we've diagnosed the condition and we know there's no other abnormality seen, there is no lead point, there's adequate vascularity, there are no dilated small bowel loops signaling small bowel obstruction, there is no ascites, then we go forward with the reduction of the intussusception. There was to be a basic rule, a rule of 3, where as you can try to reduce this intussusception a maximum of 3 times. Each reduction usually not for more than 3 minutes, and the height of the enema can should not be more than 3 feet. There are other ways to reduce as well, besides the hydrostatic way, where enema with an air enema is tried, but usually in India we stick to the hydrostatic reduction, and that is what I am going to discuss. So the child is taken to the OT. You will have a pediatric surgeon also stand by or actually conducting the procedure. So the child is made to lie supine on the OT table. The anesthetist will usually give a short sedation. We need this for about 10 to 15 minutes. The pediatric surgeon or the radiologist conducting the test will pass a Foley's catheter into the rectum, inflate it well, and give it a little tug to see that it's not slipping out. Usually we will use isotonic saline, giving through an enema can or through the saline infusion bottle itself, placed at a height of not more than 3 feet. And before the procedure starts, the radiologist will just confirm that the Foley's is seen well within the rectum. We are the eyes of the surgeon, so the aim is to see that the procedure goes smoothly. You have to evaluate the rectal distension once the infusion has begun. You gently maneuver the fluid, see that it's going through upwards into the descending colon, the transverse colon, and then reaches the point of interest, which will be usually be the level of the hepatic flexure. And as we can see now from this video, we are actually tracking the scan as it is taking place. So you will see this distension of the ascending colon and the cecum. You can see the intussusception there. It's an ileocolic one, and you can see fluid trying to push the prolapsed ileum back to where it belongs. This is the point where it usually takes a lot of time, because there is a lot of edema at the ileocecal junction, and hence this is the point where you have to just be patient and wait. See that there is no significant distension occurring of the rectum or any part of the colon. Worry, like I said earlier, is perforation. Usually it could be the rectum or the ascending colon. See that the distension of the cecum and the ascending colon is not taking place to a very large extent. Usually we will not use more than one effusion bottle. Usually 350 cc to 500 cc is what you'll be using maximum for a child. And as we wait and wait and wait for that area to suddenly open up. And as we wait, you usually see slowly the intussusception going back, and you can now see a little bit of fluid entering the distal ileal loop. You have to see this image, and this signifies that the procedure is successful. You have to confirm this and take an image to know exactly that the procedure is complete. Once the child is out of anesthesia, of course, the patient's kept nil by mouth before switching to oral liquids later. But we will do a check sonography after 24 hours to see that the intussusception does not recur. It can recur sometimes, and usually then a decision is taken to try to redo this procedure, or whether the surgeon needs to look at it from a surgical viewpoint.